Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking what might sound like a dry academic textbook chapter and turning it into, well, an absolute superpower for everyday citizens like you and me. We're going to see how taking structured local action can actually help solve one of the biggest global issues of our time.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll kick things off with work in human services, look at the power of data, and tackle the water challenge. Then we'll get into understanding data types, conducting a water audit, and finally, taking action for tomorrow.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Work in Human Services, and figure out what it actually means to empower our communities.
You know, at its core, human services is really just about connecting with and helping people. And the projects you can do in this space, they're incredibly diverse. I mean, you could be helping a family make a budget, taking care of family health, developing a comic book, or even applying Mendy on someone's hands. But for us today, our main focus and the real star of this chapter is the water audit.
Moving right along to Section 2, the power of data. This is the absolute must-have tool for our project.
Okay, check out this great question straight from the text to get us thinking. Have you ever wondered how the meteorological department predicts the arrival of the monsoon? Or how they warn us about heat waves and cyclones? I mean, they aren't just guessing, right? They're looking at past data and assuming similar trends are going to continue.
And really, it all boils down to one word: data. Data is just any information collected for a specific purpose. We're talking facts, figures, photos, videos, the whole shebang. But here's the catch: just collecting it isn't enough. You have to organize it to actually figure out what it means and draw a conclusion. In today's world, data is literally our secret weapon for making smart choices.
Let me give you a perfect real-world example of why this matters so much. Imagine a village farmer who normally plants thirsty, water-heavy crops. Now, if past weather data shows this summer is going to be a scorcher and the rains will be late, that data is basically a shield. Instead of planting and hoping for the best, the farmer can delay sowing or switch to crops that don't need as much water. It's a total game changer that stops massive losses before they even happen. Which brings us to Section 3, the water challenge. Let's see how we apply this data collection directly to India's water crisis.
All right, brace yourselves for this number, 4%. India possesses just 4% of the entire world's freshwater resources. Think about that for a second. It's a staggeringly small slice of the global supply.
But wait, here's the kicker. That tiny 4% of water, it has to support nearly 18% of the global population. That imbalance is wild, and it's the root of a massive challenge. Water just isn't distributed evenly. You've got devastating floods in one area and brutal, parched droughts in another. And, you know, it's easy to just write off droughts as unavoidable natural disasters. But the text highlights something really important. Human actions are driving a lot of the scarcity. We're talking deforestation, poor agricultural practices, and pumping out way too much groundwater. But crucially, it's also about everyday mismanagement. That means mismanagement at the macro level, like states and districts, and the micro level, which literally means right inside our own households. So, to fix that household mismanagement, we need solid information. Let's hit Section 4, Understanding Data Types. For your project, you're going to be juggling two main types of data. First up is primary data. This is the stuff you collect firsthand, rolling up your sleeves, doing surveys, or running direct experiments to see how much water is being used. Then you have secondary data. This is the existing info you pull from reliable reports or government publications to get the big picture on local water availability.
All right, let's get into the really fun part. Section 5, Conducting a Water Audit.
Let's make sure we're on the exact same page with the chapter's definition here. A water audit isn't just taking a quick peek at your bathroom sink. It's a highly systematic process where you meticulously examine data about exactly how water is being used and wasted within a specific building or household. And there are 4 clear steps to make this happen. Consider this your roadmap. Step 1, collect that raw data on usage and wastage. Step 2, analyze it so you can estimate how much water is actually being used compared to what's normal. Step 3, apply simple, everyday strategies to cut down on that waste. And Step 4, use everything you've learned to predict future water needs for your community. It's like putting together a giant puzzle.
Now, a quick heads up for when you're analyzing that secondary data we talked about. You absolutely have to use accurate, trusted sources. Things change fast. Populations boom, climates shift.
So the chapter makes a really big point of this. You must clearly note the year the data was reported and exactly who published it.
So how do you get that primary data from your community? The chapter gives us some fantastic survey questions to ask. You'll want to ask your neighbors things like, how much water is actually allotted per person every day? Are there major challenges in getting enough water? How does availability change with the seasons? This first-hand boots-on-the-ground info is the absolute foundation of your audit.
And that brings us to our final section, number 6, taking action for tomorrow. The coolest thing here is you don't even have to wait for your community survey to be done to start making an impact. You can start literally today, right in your own home. The text suggests this highly practical experiment. Just find a dripping tap, put a bucket under it, and grab a stopwatch to record the exact flow of the drips. Yes, it sounds a bit tedious, but it gives you undeniable, hard data on exactly how much water is just vanishing down the drain.
Once you've got those numbers, it's time to take action. You could go macro and write a letter to government officials with your findings. Or go micro and just pop some flow caps or aerators onto your taps, which is awesome because it cuts the water flow down without ruining your water pressure. You could even jump into a local groundwater recharge program. And hey, once you've crushed this water audit, you'll have the exact skills you need to tackle a grocery, food waste, or electricity audit next. How cool is that?
To wrap things up, I want to leave you with this really provocative question from the chapter's Think and Answer section. Try this. Trace the river closest to your locality on a map. Think about it. Who depends on it? How does this single river impact the lives, the economies, and the everyday routines of the people in your area? Once you start looking at your local resources through the lens of data, you realize that protecting our future starts right in our own backyards. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy auditing!